and mourners. Right up front. You may be seated. If you would have told any of us in July that we would be in here for this purpose today, I don't think anybody would have believed it. Marcelle was so full of life, so vibrant, so giving, so concerned about everybody else's welfare, and especially her beloved Robert. So this comes, I think, still as a deep shock, even though we've had these 2 months knowing that she was sick and knowing that she was sick with a terrible form of cancer. Nothing prepares us for this. And so we are, in ways, at a loss for words. And that's why our tradition provides us with what we can say at a time when we don't know what to say. And we're taught to look to the book of Psalms. Shir lema'alot es ha'einai el ha'harim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yiten lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum below yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha, al yad yeminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yechabeh v'yareach balayla. Adonai yishmerecha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzetecha u'boecha me'ata v'yad olam. A song of ascents. I turn my eyes unto the heavens, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. Adonai will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By the day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm and guard your life. Adonai guards your coming, your going and your coming, now and forever. And the cantor will lead us in Psalm 123.
Please join me. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echad, binat asher yarbitzeini, al menachot yanaleni. Nafshi yeshover, nafshi yeshover, yancheni b'magle tzedek l'man shemo. Kam ki elech v'getz al mavet שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי תשענתה ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי ושבתי בבית אדוני ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך
A Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me to lie down in green pastures and leads me beside the still waters. God restores my soul and guides me in straight path for God's name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And passages from Eshet Chayil. The words which we don't know exactly the origin, but according to one understanding, these were Solomon's eulogy for his mother, Bathsheba. But it also speaks of a wife who was powerful, understood a different way, and a wife who was there for all things, as Marcelle always was for Robert. What a precious find is an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband puts his confidence in her and lacks no good thing. She is good to him, never bad, all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is clothed with strength and splendor. She looks to the future cheerfully. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She oversees the activities of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband praises her and says, "Many women have done superbly, but you, Marcelle, surpass them all." Charm is deceitful and beauty vain, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Extol her for the fruit of her hand. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise. Well, those words, and are so appropriate for Marcelle, were written thousands of years ago by someone who had not met her. We'll now have opportunity to hear from some of those who knew her best. Her daughters Nina and Aviva will each be sharing some words, and Aviva will also be sharing some words from one of their cousins.
was a force of nature, determined, brave, unstoppable. She was full of love for her family, both immediate and extended, and those of us who basked in her unconditional and bountiful love felt warm and blessed. She always had our back. If we needed something, she'd find it. If we were sick, she'd nourish us with chicken soup and our souls with gentle affection. If we dreamed, she'd help us realize our dreams. She'd mortgage a home to send us to college. If we were afraid or tired, she comforted us. And when we were happy, she rejoiced with us. This love did not stop with us. It was extended to her community, her friends, and often to complete strangers. She had a soft spot for Russian immigrants. They reminded her of her late father, I think. She would adopt Russian families, help them out. Those people who were kind to her children received the pick of the litter. She showered gifts, attention, thoughtfulness to any person who did a kindness for one of us. From colleagues at my work, she would help them find a school for their autistic children. My housekeeper in Uruguay, she would send perfumes and chocolates. The foreign minister, she would send tea from South Africa. Because he had a South African connection, she thought it would help him be nicer to me. It worked. Her ability to give was boundless. She helped my brother Joel when he was sick. She visited, cared for her grandchildren, tried to support his beloved wife Valerie. She consulted doctors and experts the world over to find medicines, alternate or otherwise. She would not abandon him in his time of need. She was steadfast. Mommy showed up. She came for every baby born, every bat mitzvah, every major life event. She went to Israel to care for her dying brother Leslie, along with Rianne and Leon. She never balked at the hard things. Mom was my inner moral compass. Whenever I had an ethical dilemma, I think, what would Mom do? And I know the right course. She had a strong sense of right and wrong and justice, but this was also tempered with her desire for forgiveness and compassion. She taught my brothers and sister and I, no matter what, your family is forever, and you don't carry a faribble. You forgive. She loved my dad. They had a 55-year-old love affair, and she thought the world of him. She wanted to protect, help, sustain him till her last day on this earth. In London years ago, when he was despairing of finishing his PhD, she encouraged and helped him. She typed his chapters before computers, and she didn't let him give up. She believed in him and was determined he could succeed. He got his PhD. She gave us life, and then she let us live. As a parent, I will try to emulate the magic formula that she had of love and warmth combined with freedom and supporting our dreams, our children's dreams, even if they didn't match her vision. I went to Israel, and she never berated me for the distance and difficulty this choice cost her. Aviva went to California to pursue her dream of sunshine and nature. She helped her organize and vowed to come visit. Joel went to Brandeis and chose art, and she and my dad supported him, sent their blessing, tried to organize a gallery to show his wondrous talents and work. She was a feminist. She believed in my capacity to do anything, soar high, and not be limited by society's expectations. I remember when I was a young girl, around 10, talking to my mom about the future, trying to imagine, how could I be like her? How could I have babies and be a mom and also have a career? It seemed impossible. Who would take care of my babies? She told me, by the time you grow up, the world will be different. New possibilities will exist. You'll figure it out. You go and learn, be the best you can be, and the rest will work itself out. She was never limited by what was. She imagined what could be. I have resigned myself that no amount of words will do justice to who she was. Our North Star, our beating heart, our warm sun, a gentle laugh, wisdom, common sense, priorities, courage, humor, curiosity, and love. My mom was born in August, a Leo, and that is how I think of her, as a lion. She fought to the end for herself and for life. When this terrible cancer vanquished her, she battled valiantly, but could not stop its cruel hands. I am bereft. Our family has lost its lighthouse. All she gave us, all she taught us, stays and are amplified in the life choices we make that are guided by her wisdom. I love you, Mommy. Thank you for everything you gave me and taught me all my life. I pray I will be worthy of it. Rest in peace with Uncle Leslie, Uncle Richard, Jeremy, and your beloved parents.
I'm going to read the words from my mom's cousin first. Marcelle is my cousin. I need to say it because just like Marcelle told me she was having a difficult time accepting her diagnosis, I'm having a difficult time accepting her passing. Marcelle is one of those human beings I think you meet once in a lifetime. She was pure goodness and the most kind and loving cousin one can ever have. Probably one of her best traits was her ability to listen, really listen, to whatever you were saying and somehow make you feel better with her words of wisdom, years of experience, and just unbelievable passion to make the person she was talking to feel better. When I lost my own mother, who was a beloved sister to Marcelle's mother-in-law, Marcelle Copaken, Marcelle and Robert not only came out to comfort my brother and I and our families, but made food and really made everyone feel just more hopeful, even at the most terrible times. More importantly, as my mom recovered from the loss of our dad, it was Marcelle and Robert who flew to Chicago to comfort her and share stories of Sylvia and just put a smile on my mom's face. And they always came with special little gifts that were so thoughtful and again showed that they really listened to what my mom said. After my dad passed, I recall my mother having a long conversation with Marcelle about how my dad and mother met at the Pentagon. So Marcelle brought my mom during her next visit to Chicago to see my mom a Pentagon paperweight, which my mom proudly displayed in her china cabinet until she died. And now my brother and I treasure it. Our family shared so many great memories. Jeremy came to live with my husband and son when our son was about 4, and Jeremy was about 13. When Marcelle and Robert came to pick him up after a couple of weeks, he had become so loved, we wanted him to stay permanently, and perhaps he did too. And Marcelle and Robert and Aviva visited my brother Robert and his wife Lucianne and his 5 adult kids in California and shared so many great memories. In fact, my brother was hoping all of our families could go on a cruise together in 2024. Although I have never been, it was a love I think my brother and Marcelle shared. Most of all, our family shared a love for family. Marcelle was a problem solver, a facilitator, a researcher, a writer, a reader, and a lover of the arts. She was up to date and more informed on world events and the real dynamics within these events than anyone, driven in part by her pride in Nina's accomplishments, I'm sure. And it was all of her children and grandchildren's accomplishments that really gave her joy. She would talk all the time about Aviva's talent and having such great friends, traveling, being resourceful, and so giving, clearly her mother's daughter. And Nina's so talented, an incredible speaker, a brilliant diplomat and mother. Joel, a respected nurse, a great father. And Jeremy, the most kind and giving young man ever. It was her children and grandchildren, and of course the love of her life, Robert, I think that kept Marcelle full of joy, resolute to do so much good in the world, and spread her joy of living every day to the fullest. I miss Marcelle every minute of every day. My brother and I hope she and my mom are hugging right now with Jeremy and Richard and other loved ones, and that she can once again find joy. We love you, Marcelle. I wanted to write something to say for my mother. She deserved that. She always said I was a great speaker and eloquent with my words, and I wanted to do this for her. My mind and my heart cannot wrap itself around the idea that she's gone, that she is no longer here to give me the most warm, loving, huge, all-encompassing hugs and hands down the best kisses. Even as a grown adult, I still wanted to and loved getting hugs and kisses from her. It was my favorite part about her, her loving heart, how much she loved her kids and my dad. It could blow you away. There is nothing that she wouldn't do for us, or for strangers. My mother befriended every single person she met. She instantly charmed them with her personality. Her accent was always a fun novelty to everyone she met. She was always greeted with the question, "Where are you from?" And she would get such glee from making them guess. My mother was the most incredible, supportive, loving, giving, generous woman I've ever known in my entire life. She would literally and often give us the food off of her plate in order to see us fed and happy. My mom loved her friends and would help any person in need, even if she wasn't young or super spry herself. Her whole mentality was, I should help someone if I can, even if I'm tired, I can always help. She never let selfishness take over like the rest of us sometimes do. She amazed me with her reserves to be able to help others, even if she was tired or busy or stressed herself. She always managed to put it to the side to help someone else first. She loved my dad so much. She showed him that every day with taking care of him, cooking him delicious home-cooked meals, even to the very end almost. My beautiful mother was 79, 80 years old and still making my dad 3-course meals that would make any chef's mouth water with how good her cooking and baking was. My dad was her best friend and vice versa, and they showed me an incredible example of true love and partnership that I pray to God I find one day. I joke to my friends and anyone I meet that my parents set me up for failure by having such an amazing marriage and showing me true love because I won't settle for anything less. To everyone who met Marcelle Copaken, they were better off having met her, more loved than they were before they met her, and a friend for life. To us lucky few who are actual family, we were the luckiest people in the entire world. I am a better person because of my mother, and I will continue to strive to be more like her for the rest of my life. My life has been shattered and broken from this loss of her. I will never ever be the same again, and I know I will never ever be loved by anyone like the way my mother loved me. I truly don't know how I'll go on without her, how to keep dealing with life and all of its hardships and hurdles that will be thrown my way without her love and support. I just hope I can find the strength and courage that my mother had inside her, and hope that is also somehow in me. Mommy, I love you more than anything in this world. You were the most incredible woman in my entire life. Thank you for all of the love you ever gave me, even when I didn't make it easy. Thank you for never giving up on me and reminding me on my darkest of days that I still had reasons to go on. I pray that I can find that same reasoning somehow without you here physically to lift me up in my darkest moments still ahead and yet to come. And I really hope one day my soul is reunited with you, where I know you'll be ready, with your soft, loving big hug, your sweet, soft kisses, and hearing the words, "Hi, my lovey," once again. I will love you always, forever, until I'm with you again. I hope you're at peace, and I will miss you every single remaining day of my life. Thank you for being my mom and always being there for me. I was so lucky, and I thank God that I was put on this earth as your child.
Well, your mom was right. You are a very good public speaker. Want to extend our condolences to Robert, of course, to Leon and Moira, to Rian and John, to Nina and Lior Ben-Ami, I know, joining us from afar, to Joel and Valerie and Aviva, and to her beloved grandchildren, Shara, Asher, Maya, Tamar, Camille, and Zeke. I think I got the age order right there. There is a teaching in the Talmud from Rabbi Abaye, who said that there are never less than 36 righteous people in the world who greet the Shekhinah, God's holy presence, each day. This is based on a verse from the book of Isaiah that says, Ashrei kol chokei lo, blessed are all those who wait for him. And I use the for him here because the word for him is Lamed Vav, which is the numeric value of 36, and also the way that we refer to such people, the Lamed Vavniks. Now, importantly, according to tradition, these 36 people are not necessarily the movers and shakers of the world in politics or medicine or the economy. They're 36 righteous people who are anonymous, even to each other, who are known for their humility. They do not admit their identity to anyone, and if challenged, would deny their membership. They are, by their example, all goodness. And that's what it means to be a Lamed Vavnik. And I think it's very possible that Marcelle Copaken was one of them. In speaking with her family and the members of Tikvat Israel, we heard some of the words that are used to describe Marcelle, and we heard some of them already: the pillar of the community, a consummate teacher, a woman who lacked all pretense, and in the words of her brother-in-law John, a saint. The legends of Marcelle's kindness are long and widespread, and so many of the people who are sitting in this room are here because you benefited from that kindness at one time or another, or more likely many times thereover. She was a dutiful daughter, a protective sister, a devoted wife, a loving, supportive parent, and a loyal, loving friend, and a doting grandmother, Uba. Marcelle exemplified the aspects of God that are described as Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed, endlessly patient, full of compassion. As we heard, she treated each person kindly, whether it was a family member or someone that she met in line at the bank. It didn't matter. She would treat all of them with the same warmness. And she was never one to hold a grudge. She had her opinions. She wasn't shy in sharing them. But if people chose otherwise, she would accept that, and when they eventually realized that she was right, she did not rub it in their face. Born in Cape Town in South Africa on August 14, 1943, Marcelle was the second-born child of Lithuanian immigrants, Meyer and Sarah, following the birth of her beloved brother Leslie, Zichrono Livracha. A few years later, Leon would be born, and then Rian, the baby. Their parents were avid advocates for education, a trait that each of the children inherited from them. Her dad was a kosher butcher who worked hard so that they could pay for each of their 4 children to go to Jewish day school, even though there were very high-quality public schools available for free. And that emphasis on education was not lost on Marcelle, even at a young age. According to family lore, when Marcelle was 16, Leslie was in medical school and needed a certain textbook. Her parents sent her to pick up the book and take a bus to go bring it over to Leslie. Well, somehow, either the money got lost or the book got lost. We don't know exactly what happened, but she was distraught. It was a longest journey. She was hungry, she was thirsty, but she didn't use any of the money that her parents had given her to buy food and drink along the way. She saved it to be able to get another copy of that book. Marcelle attended Teachers Training College in Cape Town to become an English teacher, and later the Chaim Greenberg Institute in Israel, a program of the Jewish Agency, where she studied to become a Hebrew teacher, a skill that many of the people who grew up in this congregation benefited from. She thought about staying in Israel. She loved Israel. She would be so pained by what is going on in Israel right now. And she worked on behalf of Israel through AIPAC. And so she had thought about staying, but her parents did not approve, and so she returned to Cape Town. But as Nina said, she didn't do the same thing to her daughter. In 1965, Marcelle took a boat to England for a vacation. She was riding a bus in London as a tourist and struck up a conversation, as she was wont to do. And it happened to be this young American student studying at the London School of Economics. As I said, it's not unusual for her to have been speaking with random people on the bus, but this young man named Robert turned out to be something special. 2 years later, they were married in Cape Town. They had a marriage and a wonderful partnership that lasted almost 56 years. After spending some time living in India, where Nina was born, they moved to Washington, where Joel and Jeremy were born. And with this growing family, in May of 1974, they bought a house at 14005 Congress Drive and were active members of the Beth Tikvat congregation. And then in 1986, Aviva came along to complete the family. As she had come from a family of 4, so too, she had her 4 children. And they lived in that house for almost 48 years, I believe, till they moved to Riderwood. But whether she was in Cape Town or Israel or India or England or Aspen Hill or White Oak, Marcelle was the same person, giving, caring, looking out for the needs of everyone. But that describes a lot of people. What makes me think that she was a Lamed Bubnik? A lot of people will be friendly and politely say hi to people as they walk by them on the street. But how many people on Erev Pesach would meet a young Russian immigrant family of 5 for the first time at the grocery store and invite them for Seder, not at her house, but at her sister's? She did call after she had invited them to make sure it was okay. And there are many people who like to make shidduchim, to try and make matches. But how many of them can claim to have successfully matched up at least 3 couples, probably more, who have enjoyed lifelong together? She was still doing it in the hospital. She met a Jewish nurse in Georgetown who she thought was perfect for one of John's cousins. Marcelle would go to great lengths to be with people at the times they needed her most. As Nina mentioned, she was there for the birth of each of her children, wherever Nina was in the world. And I think that was true as well for Joel. And again, that makes her a great mom, but a Lamed Bubnik? Well, Marcelle didn't just go to be with Nina when she was pregnant the first time. She was 9 months pregnant, living in Canada, and Marcelle saw that her car didn't have snow tires. She drove around to every car shop within 3 counties until she found a place that would have the snow tires to make sure that she would be able to get through the Canadian winter. And she and Robert lovingly attended every event for each of their children and grandchildren. Marcelle was the type of person who, whenever she had something she liked or saw, if she thought somebody else would like it, she would get it and want to share it with them. Rianne was often the beneficiary of these gifts, whether it was an exceptionally good piece of fruit on the way home from the market or an item of clothing that she saw in a store window. It wasn't that Rianne needed them, it was that Marcelle needed to give it to her. As a sister, she also had her daily phone calls, checking in each day to make sure everyone was okay. And as we heard about when Leslie was sick and living in Israel during COVID, she helped make the arrangements, and she and Rianne or Leon would always be by his side. She didn't have to tell her children how to be compassionate. They just had to watch the way that she lived her life. And she was just as strong during difficult times as she was during joyous times. When tragedy struck and Jeremy died at the young age of 39, Marcelle, even in her grieving, found a way to sustain Robert, and Robert to sustain her. And they were determined to give meaning to Jeremy's life even in his death. They established the Kindness Award at Rockville High School, which is still given out annually in his memory. And in these final few weeks where she was in tremendous pain and discomfort, that was not her primary concern. All she wanted to do was make sure that Robert would be taken care of and have what he needs and be in a place where he would be able to live comfortably. And she made sure of it. One of the other aspects of Lamed Bavnik is not only their own good deeds, but that they inspire people around them to be their best selves, not by preaching like a prophet, but through their deeds. Marcelle's children knew, because they watched her, they knew how to care for her when she was sick, and they tried to be here as much as they could. They also knew that they could talk to her, admit mistakes, talk through problems, that she would always listen to them without judgment. And here in the Tikvat Israel community, she was known for starting the book club, teaching in the religious school, and always, always doing a kind deed for anyone who needed it. 2 months ago, Marcelle was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma, a rare form of cancer that affects the bile ducts. The prognosis for this form of cancer is never good, and the treatment's all difficult. But Marcelle was prepared to face it bravely because she wanted to be able to be here for others. Somehow, though, I feel in her death, she was spared what could have been an incredible amount more pain. Now, it's said that when one Lamed Bavnik dies, that very same day another one is born. And so we don't know who that is who was born 2 days ago. But we hope that they will be able to bring a light even half as bright as Marcelle's into this world, because God knows we need that light in the world. Marcelle was so often the source of that light for others. But now, as her candle has burnt out, we pray that her soul is reunited with Jeremy, with Leslie, with Richard, with her beloved parents and other loved ones who have departed from this realm. And each of us, I hope, will make a solemn promise to take a shard of the light that she shined upon us during her time here, and to be able to shine it upon others. To Leon and Moira, Rianne and John, Robert, Nina, Joel, Aviva, Shara, Asher, Maya, Tamar, Camille, Zeke, Deborah, to her nieces and nephews, and to all who mourn Marcelle, we ask that God will grant you comfort, that your memories of Masha, Bat Meir, David, Sarah, Miriam will always be remembered for a blessing. We'll now rise. You are able. For Amalei Rachamim. Following the service, I'll ask that everyone, except for the immediate family, be seated again in order to allow them to depart first, following behind the coffin. We'll just need the pallbearers to come forward at that time. And then for everyone else to help escort Marcelle out to where the hearse is waiting to take her over to Judean Gardens, where we will be doing the burial.
המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת משה בת מאיר דוד הלוי ושרה מרים שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה אנא בעל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Marcelle Copaken, Masha Bat Meir David Halevi Visara Miriam, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say,
Amen.
Amen. The pallbearers could come forward. Others may be seated while the family exits and then to follow after.